Okay. Lee, get in a little bit.
Do I have to? Get a bit closer.
Okay, I can now see Lee's head. I can see JR's
I can't
head.
edit this, so this is all going to be on the thing.
So Lee goes on top.
Silence. We are strangers in space, and for the next 30 minutes, 45 minutes, we're going to be talking about Doctor Who, so you don't have to. Hi, I'm JR.
Hi, I'm Matt.
Hello, I'm Lee.
And so this is a bonus episode that we're doing because there were lots of mad rumours for the last 24 hours, which have now been scotched by a clickbait website. No official word from the BBC.
What's scotched me?
Oh, really, Lee? Are you going to start
Eliminated.
like this?
Oh yeah, that's
We've
right.
got a lot to talk about.
It's
We're going
okay,
to try
it's
and
just
get
that
through it quick, and
you're
you're
gonna
starting
use
with
it-
what does scotched
Well,
mean.
if you're going to use northern speech, you're going to need to explain it a bit.
Scotched is not northern.
Where's it come from then?
Why don't look at me?
Scotch? No. What is it?
I'm the Anglo-Saxon originally.
Oh God.
So originally it would be from Germany, just to the south.
Well, there you go.
Okay, right. Eliminated.
Yeah, but I think people, even if they don't know the word scotched, and I can't imagine there's many people listening to this who don't know the word scotched, people are still going to know what it means by the manner in
The
which I
tone.
said it,
Oh right. Okay.
by the context of my usage.
Yeah.
So the rumours have been scotched by a clickbait website, and no official word from the BBC, only the word of an insider, whatever that means.
Right.
I don't think the rumours are true anyway, but I thought it was worth getting together, seeing as we were free, and having a half an hour chat about maybe the context behind where these things might have come from, and discussing whether, even if the rumours themselves are scotched, and they don't seem to have really started in the first place, to be honest, but discussing whether there might be any truth to what they were saying.
Okay.
So I guess we should
What
start.
about a fantasy episode where it actually is going to happen?
Okay, I'll tell you what, let's scotch what we were going to talk about and go by your version instead. So, okay, in this scenario, Chris Chibnall's been fired.
Yeah.
Jodie Whittaker's also been fired,
Wow.
with 2 episodes left of series 12 to record.
Yeah.
And Pete McTighe's taken over as the writer for the last 2 episodes.
So we're going to end up with a Baker McCoy style regeneration. So you better hope that the next Doctor is going to be female, because otherwise it's going to be basically Ian McKellen in a wig or something like that, being knocked in the head somehow and rolling over.
Well, this is one of the things that somebody said on Gallifrey Base. I can't remember the name of the actor they picked to describe it, but it's somebody really butch. And they said, oh, we're going to have such and such in a blonde wig then for the regeneration.
Well, I'm blessed.
But this is the other thing that's mad about this rumour. They're saying that Chris Chibnall, the rumour says Chris Chibnall got fired because they came back for the block to film the final episode and there was no script for it. So Pete McTighe stepped in and is writing the 2 episodes instead. So if Chris Chibnall hasn't come up with a script, how is Pete McTighe going to turn up with a script on the day that Chris Chibnall was due to produce it?
I
If
don't
there'd
know.
been no advance warning that this was going to happen. And there's no logic in it, in other words.
Maybe you just give Pip and Jane Baker a ring. They tend to do things quite
Well, they can
quickly.
give Pip and Jane
One
Baker a
girl's
ring,
dead,
but
isn't it?
yeah,
Isn't it?
only Jane Baker was going to answer,
Yeah.
or is it the other way around?
No, I think Pip's popped.
Oh, okay.
It's Jane's left.
Right.
I can say popped. Popped is fine.
But we don't know who was
It's
the
a
main
Northern
writer. Could have been Jane, couldn't it?
I'd imagine. I mean, as in
One has the speed, one has
did the
the
ridiculous
words.
plots, and one did the ridiculous dialogue, and together they just produced magic.
It was magic for some people.
We are going way off topic.
No, but you know what I mean, though. I mean, why couldn't he do something quite quick?
Well, who? Pete McTighe?
Yeah,
Well, he could, but so could Chris Chibnall.
true.
And we know that Chris Chibnall is capable of writing things quick as and when need requires, because he wrote The Power of 3 in about a week. and he wrote 42.
Started off as the power of one, and then
He changed it.
That's free.
And presumably it's
42, just to
they're saying
finish,
that-
42 was
Sorry.
written with a really quick turnaround as well, because that was, insofar as I'm aware, a replacement episode for something that fell through.
right.
Chris Chibnall was a go-to guy for both Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat to get an episode written quick for a production that was about to start.
So they're saying they've got to the production block, and
Well,
no
I was
script
gonna-
had been written, but presumably that's rubbish because the script has to have been written well before the actual production starts, because they have to start preparing for it and contracting and
Well, there have been cases in the past. I don't know about the new series, but certainly in the classic series, there were cases where the script was so late, they were able to say to the writer, right, what do we need?
yeah.
And the writer would say, right, you need X, Y, and Z sets with dressed so-and-so.
The Mind Roller Part 1.
Well, case in that. But that's completely different because it's basically all in the same one set,
Yeah.
2 sets.
Yeah.
But there have been other cases in the past where a writer's been able to say, okay, I'll restrict myself to these 4 sets. If you can build the 4 sets,
Yeah.
I'll make sure the story goes in there.
But that was always the classic series. That could never have been from 2005, could it?
Well, you could still do it.
You could-
potentially.
You could still do it if you had
2005
if you had an episode set in the sets of a different story.
Right. Oh, I see.
A bit like
Yes.
Boomtown.
Yes, that one with the 2 in the
Satellite
Satellite
5, yeah.
I'm sure there have been plenty of cases in the new series where a script's not been finished, but the writer's been able to say, these are the sets we need. This is the story I'm writing.
Well,
You'll just have the words slightly later than you'll have the sets.
Yeah.
I mean, look at
I suppose Midnight and Blink you could probably just get away with doing.
Day of the
something really
Doctor.
quick.
John Hurt wasn't contracted to be in it. We discussed this the other day,
Yeah.
didn't we? Until about
Yeah.
a week before production began. So that's how late the final scripts were coming through on that one.
But that was
we
literally
may have
one
discussed
shot.
this in the future, presumably.
Oh yeah, because that's a discussion that's not going to happen until after this episode goes out, but we recorded previously.
But that was a one shot.
They have recorded, insofar as I can tell, and I'm not a spoiler hound, so I'm just...
Spoiler Hound? That's a new one? Spoiler Hound.
No, that's not a new one, Lee.
Isn't it? Oh,
It's
okay.
just a new one to you. I don't follow spoilers,
Right.
but I don't avoid everything. So insofar as I can tell, they've just about got to recording 8 episodes. Then they
Right.
took a 2-week break from production across the fortnight of San Diego Comic-Con. Apparently, you would think, so that they could go to Comic-Con, and having recorded 8 episodes, they could have taken a trailer with them, with plenty to choose from to put on the trailer. But they didn't. So there's a 2-week hole in the production schedule thing here. Starts to look like a bit of a mystery if they didn't go to San Diego Comic-Con. It could be that they planned to go to San Diego Comic-Con, organised the 2-week break in production, changed their minds and didn't go. Because it was never said that they were going to go to San Diego Comic-Con. It wasn't like it was said that they were going to be there and then they just never turned up. There was just never any notion of a Doctor Who presence at San Diego Comic-Con, even though people were expecting it. And this 2-week break, people think it was scheduled for San Diego Comic-Con. But having said that, the 2-week break in production is presumably only being relayed by people who are following the production, the actual spoiler hounds. So potentially the 2-week break in production might not have been a deliberate 2-week break in production. Maybe the script really was late and they had to say to everybody, take a fortnight off till the script's ready. It's possible.
I mean, every season of modern Doctor Who has a mystery to it in the production somewhere, and sometimes they kind of slowly creep out. So we know now that the first series was incredibly stressful and hectic, and Christopher Eccleston didn't enjoy himself very much until Joe Ahern turned up. And we know now that something happened to Mark Gatiss halfway through one of the series that meant that other people had to take over his scripts.
We don't know that officially.
Well, we don't know officially what happened.
Okay.
I'm speculating with
I
no
know-
inside knowledge whatsoever.
Well, what happened is on the record, actually.
Okay. And we know about the Day of the Doctor and the
Eccleston,
casting
then
of
again,
that.
then her. Yeah.
But all of these, there's always a mystery somewhere. It's just
And this-
it's just
Yeah. This is a mystery that may or may not creep out at some point in the future.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to know whether any of these things were true, if indeed any of these things were true.
So
Certainly not in the short term future.
So where did it come from originally?
Oh, I think you were right when you said some YouTuber or something.
Yeah,
It spread around pretty quick.
I came across something on YouTube. I can't remember who the person is, and they've just got a load of videos up of clips of Doctor Who, and they're very, very popular. A lot of subscribers. There's nothing really. There's nothing to say. It's just a whole load of clips. But it's
No, it's not somebody talking.
no. It's actually a picture of Chibnall with some writing underneath, which I couldn't be bothered to read because I already knew what it was about, and a very the happy song being played underneath. So straight away I was thinking, okay, this is obviously a person who just doesn't like Chibnall, doesn't like the new series, probably is one of those types of people that just wants to get a lot of nastiness out there. And then I looked through the rest of the videos, and they're okay, good clips and all that, but there were none of Jodie Whittaker. So it kind of fell together. And then I looked at the comments, and they were all really nasty comments, and you just think, oh, honestly,
But it's
grow up.
It's sort of, it almost doesn't matter who came up with the rumour itself. It's certain individuals who amplify it, who are always the same individuals, and they were the same individuals when the missing episodes thing happened, of saying, I've got inside contacts, and I'm going to tell you a secret at 9:00 tonight. And my inside contacts tell me this,
Okay.
and they're usually very reliable. They say my inside contacts, and because they they sort of drew attention to themselves during the missing episodes, they've become known as being somebody who potentially has inside contacts.
So this should really be a psychological analysis of the people that put these things out in the first place, as opposed to just talking about a rumour, because plainly this episode now going out that we're recording on the back of what this is just feeding that kind of frenzy of
Well,
bollocks.
yeah, but I wanted to do two things with this.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about how and why the rumour spread so quickly and why people were so eager to believe it.
Right.
And I wanted to talk about whether there's possibly any truth in it by going back to the news story from last year, the rumour news story from last year about Chibnall and Whittaker leaving.
Oh, yeah.
Because I wonder, and here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. A couple of days ago, somebody sent me a private message and said, have you heard this thing about 2 Hartnell episodes haven't been found with a private collector? The implication being, some private collector had turned up with 2 Hartnell episodes that were back in the hands of the BBC and they were going to be released at some point in the near future. So I said, no, let me investigate. So I went online and I looked on Twitter and I cross-checked with Gallifrey Base and various other places and looked around, and it very quickly became clear that somebody on Gallifrey Base had mentioned a news story from a year ago where Paul Venezis was on Radio Free Skaro talking about the fact that he knew of a number of episodes that were in the hands of private collectors. Something that he had subsequently said he believed it was 2 William Hartnell episodes.
Okay.
And somebody on Gallifrey Base had mentioned this in passing. Somebody had been reading Gallifrey Base and hadn't heard the original interview and hadn't seen the subsequent update and just said, 2 Hartnells with private collectors, and went on Twitter and said, have you heard the news? There's 2 Hartnells come back from private collectors. And the next thing you know, there's a bunch of people saying, oh God, we've got 2 Hartnell episodes back.
That's like when my mum was putting up pictures of people that have been dead for about 10
This
years.
is the Tony Hart effect.
Yeah.
Tony Hart dies every year or every 2 years. Just because
laugh, but that's quite funny.
because people don't check the date behind news stories. But it's happening in politics as well. So people put up something about Trump that's really appalling, but it turns out he did it in 2016.
Which is still
Which is fair
applicable
play.
Right, it happens all the time. The point I was making, though, is that if that can happen with that news story, then this can have happened out of the news story from a year ago about Chibnall and Whittaker leaving which came out, I believe, before Series 11 we even
So you
started
say you
broadcasting.
started all this?
No, I didn't
Essentially.
start that though.
Wasn't I? You didn't start the fire. It was always burning.
Shall we talk about that then? Shall we talk about what happened?
Never liked that song.
Okay.
Midnight Oil.
Okay, so this was about 15 months ago, I think. It was, or maybe about a year ago.
It was wintry outside.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was last summer. I can't remember exactly when. It was before Series 11 had started broadcasting, I think, so maybe it was
No, it was after.
Was it?
Yeah, because we were all having an opinion.
Wait a minute. With memories like these,
I think it was last winter. I think it was like last November, December time.
No, maybe it was while it was broadcasting. Yeah.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. Anyway, I heard, or I went online, I think, and there was this chatter about Chibnall being sacked, Jodie Whittaker saying she was going to go with him. Now, I think I heard that privately, but from somebody sent me a private message and said, have you heard this? Do you know whether it's true? And this was from somebody I know who wouldn't know. Hence, they were asking me. So I went and asked somebody I know who would know whether it was true. And they said, well, that's not exactly the story, but there's a certain amount of truth in it. And they said what the truth in it was. And then, while this conversation was happening, somewhere else online, somebody else had heard the same story and had had that story corroborated, a slightly different version of the story. So by this time we're into 3 different versions of the story. Had that story corroborated by somebody else that they knew who works in the Doctor Who production office or nearabouts. At which point I got in touch with the editor at Starburst magazine and said, don't print anything yet because this might turn out to be utter bollocks, but this conversation is going around. Shall we try and find out whether it's true? And the editor emailed me back and said, well, actually, I've heard that as well from a 4th different source. So by this time, you've got 4 different sources, 3 of whom are potentially in positions to know whether there's any truth in it. Now, all of us, all of these different people, had all heard different versions of the same story. But the point was that there must have been, in order for this story to have come from all these different places that were all connected well enough to know at least something, there must have been some truth in it somewhere. So, obviously then Starburst magazine put the story out.
And what was the story?
Well, the story was that, the story essentially that they put out was that there was a rumour circulating. They didn't even say whether they believed the rumour or not. They just put out, this is a rumour that's circulating. There's been some trouble with Chris Chibnall and he'll be stepping down and Jodie Whittaker will be going with him. But this is just a rumour. And so it was. And so, but this rumour had presumably surfaced before the beginning of the broadcast of Series 11. If these issues had been ongoing, they would have been ongoing during the production of the series rather than the broadcast of it. And when that first episode went out and was watched by, 11 million viewers? And when the figures came in for the 2nd and 3rd episodes, and they were still up at like 9 million, I said there and then, even if this rumour was true, those kind of numbers change things like this. And I'll go into certain context for the rumours in a minute. But the point is, I keep saying the point is, I always do that, don't I? The point is, even if a rumour is true at the time, by the time the truth does eventually come out, things might well have changed anyway, because, something like 11 million viewers is going to change people's minds about how things are running. If somebody thinks, oh, this isn't running terribly well, and then the programme gets broadcast to 11 million viewers, that person might, say, okay, egg on my face, I was wrong. So who knows? Who knows really whether those rumours were true or not? But what I'm coming to is, just as that rumour of 2 Hartnell episodes suddenly resurfaced on Twitter a couple of days ago, this whole Chibnall's been sacked, Jodie Whittaker's leaving with him, might just be a regurgitation of the same thing. And who knows, there may have been further developments, possibly if this was even true in the first place. There may have been further developments, but it might just essentially all go back to the same point in time, which presumably would have been while Series 11 was in production. And so this is my contention. My contention is, here is a potential situation. Chris Chibnall took the job of showrunner on Doctor Who. We talked about this before. When I interviewed him, when I met him, when I went to his home, essentially, to interview him, I asked him face to face, and he looked me directly in the eye. I asked him face to face, would you like the Doctor Who showrunner job? And he said to me, no. And he wasn't lying. He was being completely honest with me. I don't think necessarily that he wanted the job. I think he had to be persuaded to do it. And a lot of people have said this. He had to be persuaded to do it.
Was this before the Broadchurch? Before it got big, was it?
Oh, I asked him before Broadchurch was even broadcast.
Yeah.
Broadchurch was still in production, the first series, when I asked him. But obviously, all this other stuff was subsequent to Broadchurch. But a lot of people are saying, no, he didn't want the job and his heart's not in it. And I would contend that just because you didn't necessarily want a job doesn't mean that you wouldn't put your heart into it if you got the job. And also, I would say he obviously had some very definite ideas about what he wanted to do with the job when he took the job, because the Doctor Who that he's produced with Jodie Whittaker is quite significantly different from the episodes that he wrote under Davis and Moffat. So it's not like he's just come to the table and done Doctor Who by numbers. He's done something with it, whether fans like that or not.
As a showrunner, but what about his episodes within his own seasons? Aren't they quite similar to what he's done before?
Would you say so?
Well,
There's no dinosaurs in a spaceship. There's
There's
few
no
power
one.
of threes.
I don't think there's a few Power of Threes.
I think
Power of Three, to my mind, is defined by its conceptualism. And there's been nothing conceptual.
what about the Norwegian one?
that's not one
Well,
of those
it
grids.
is.
No, I know.
I'm thinking of the spiders one has a bit of a power, and even that opener has a bit of a power of three feel to
They
it.
both have a bit, yeah. But what I mean is, Power of Three is
But they're not Moffat-y.
no. And then there's nothing like 42, quite. The things that he's done, they're not so dissimilar that you can't find parallels. But I think his Series 11 is quite definitely different from Moffat and Davis.
Mhm.
So I think he's definitely come to the table with an idea of what he wanted to do, and he's done it. I mean, and this is the thing, you don't find out until somebody's second series whether they've done it to their taste or not. You don't know how successful he thinks he was at doing it, because this was his first time doing it. And for all we know, it might have come out completely different to what he'd imagined, and so he, re-steers for the second series he does.
Yeah.
It's almost tempting to see, and this is off the subject, but resolution as being a kind of
Course correction.
an indication of a course correction.
Yeah.
Because there's a Dalek coming back, and now we know that there are
Jadoon or whatever coming up.
Spoilers!
There we go.
Oh, you must have heard that.
No, I don't know anything about
So
the new
I
series.
stopped-
I don't even know why I'm
stopped
on
for
this
the sake of
podcast.
Lee.
What's the
No,
point
I
of being
didn't
on a
realise.
Doctor Who
I'm
podcast?
sure. Yeah.
So they're coming back then, thanks.
Yeah, but that's not really a spoiler, because they're not going to be the baddie in that episode anyway, right?
It's for me.
Okay, right. Well, I shan't. Okay, fingers in it. No.
I can do fingers and ears if you need to talk about it.
No, there's something
So
on there,
we're
but
not-
I haven't even read that. It doesn't
we're
look
not
like
gonna-
I'm going to.
We're
so-
not going to talk about Meglos that way.
Now, that was during Stephen Moffat's run.
Yeah.
Meglos was due back.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
going to be in
The James Corden, first James Corden story.
Really?
That
That'd
was
be,
gonna
that'd
end-
be quite funny.
that was going to be
Yeah.
Meglos up the stairs in a spaceship.
A cactus in.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Where was I? I've been completely deflected.
Yes.
So,
You've been scotched.
maybe maybe I now need a course correction myself. But anyway, yes. So maybe Chris Chibnall's first series wasn't to the taste of a lot of fans, and maybe it possibly wasn't exactly what he had planned, but massive viewing figures, reasonable AIs, because the thing about AIs is as live viewership goes down, AIs tend to go down as well, because AIs are only taken from live viewers. And the more live viewers you've got who are casual viewers, and the fewer live viewers you've got who are appointment viewers, then the lower AI scores get. So
What's an appointment viewer?
An appointment viewer is somebody who either downloads or records to watch later.
Oh, I see.
Somebody who chooses specifically to watch a program as opposed to happens to have the television on when the program's in the room.
It's a weird season. So I was talking about this today with some Australians. It's a weird season.
Are they from Melbourne?
I don't know. It's all the same in Australia. Brexit, Britain.
Brexit Britain.
Brexit Britain.
Brexit Britain. It's a weird season because everybody seems to agree that there are unsuccessful episodes, but nobody seems to be able to agree which ones are the unsuccessful ones and which ones. So some episodes people love, and other people's really dislike, but other people really defend those episodes, and other people, and it's just.
I think the whole thing was fine. I don't think there was a bad episode, but then I don't think there was a glorious episode. I think the whole thing was fairly middling.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's kind of my.
I think that's where we went with it, wasn't it? As we were watching
Yes, we were reviewing it, basically. We were all 7s out of 10 as we went along, really, I think, mostly.
Well, I don't know, a few of them were quite higher. Which one did you like?
Well, a few excited me. I like the Witchfinders.
Oh, yeah.
Because I liked that kind of camp humour, but it was really refreshing to have humour after a dry spell. And obviously, Rosa is always a highlight because it was so interesting and different. So and Punjab as well. So yeah, there were.
But they've been rated highly all over the place.
Rated highly, but they've also been rated.
There have been a lot of people who hated the entire series.
Yeah, but is that hated the entire series? Is that coming from the same people that start these sorts of rumours up?
Probably.
Hoping that one day it will get through like the 80s did to JMT and Michael Gray and everything else. And
who knows? But here's the context for it. So, the Doctor Who is now a production essentially of 3 different companies who are all relatively autonomous from each other. Ostensibly, it's a BBC production, but it's actually made by BBC Studios, and it is majority financed by BBC Studios, and BBC America also put money directly into it. So BBC Studios come up with most of the money from foreign sales. The BBC and BBC America both also put money in, which means you would think that BBC Studios are in charge of it. And while there's nobody on the record saying quite how this works, the impression I get, my impression is, while BBC Studios make it, the BBC are still in charge of it, in as much as anybody is in charge of it in that sense. So the Doctor Who production office is essentially beholden to probably 2, because maybe BBC America don't get as great a say, probably 2 different organisations primarily, the BBC and BBC Studios. Now, one of the reasons that's been bandied around for maybe the reason why there's been disagreements in the course of the production is that, like any organisation, any business, any corporation, BBC Studios have contracts for Doctor Who all over the world. And these contracts will all have been drawn up at different times and will have different stipulations and will run out at different times. And this, by the way, is why when anybody ever says to you, Doctor Who's doomed, they'll stop making it, oh, if Jodie Whittaker leaves and Chris Chibnall gets sacked, that could be the end of Doctor Who. That is utter bollocks, because these contracts still have to be fulfilled. So what happens instead is that BBC Studios put another showrunner in, get another Doctor in, and Doctor Who continues to be made. At this point in time, and this is completely different from the 1980s when the BBC just made it and then sold it after they'd made it. At this point in time, because of the way contracts in the modern day work, BBC basically aren't allowed to stop making Doctor Who, because they would be reneging on all these contracts they have all over the world.
Plus,
And
we'll
we're
be at
talking
the
about-
doors of placards and pitchforks.
Well, we would, but that's kind of a minor consideration when money is the big
Presumably it's
consideration.
like Top Gear. So Top Gear loses Clarkson, and the obvious thing to do would be just to cancel it. But they can't just cancel it, so they bring in a succession of presenters, some more successful than others, and just keep on going until they hit gold again.
Wow.
Oh, they hit gold again, or so few contracts are renewed, they can stop making it. But yeah, something like this, they're basically contractually obliged to just keep making it now. Well, not forever, but you know what I mean?
Mm.
Indefinitely. So,
They should have had Rob Brydon doing Top Gear.
but the other point about these contracts is, didn't he?
I don't know.
The other point about these contracts is, when you draw up a contract, the stipulation isn't just, oh, we'll do the thing you said at some indefinite point in the future. This is what it boils down to, essentially. If various things that have been said are true, the contracts would stipulate, as you would imagine, a certain number of episodes every year, or a certain number of episodes within a specified amount of time. And one of the figures that I've read online somewhere is 50 episodes across 5 years, starting with 2018. Now, if Chris Chibnall's doing 10 episodes every other year or every 18 months, you're not going to get to 50 within 5 years from the start of Series 11. So this was one of the reasons that was given for potential, arguments in the production office, whatever. Disharmony amongst the various heads that come together to make Doctor Who. The idea being, I suppose, that BBC gave Chibnall his contract, and the BBC said, you make episodes as you want, when you want, like you did with Broadchurch. Broadchurch was 8 episodes every other year. And BBC Studios said, well, hang on, we've promised 50 episodes to X by Y. How are we going to get that if he's only doing 10 every other year? This potentially was one of the reasons, the main reason, insofar as I can tell, that was given for disharmony.
And this is when they do the Paul McGann limited mini-series set in the Time War.
So that they can fulfill a contractual obligation.
15 really fast-paced episodes. Sold to Netflix as well. It'd be fine.
Actually, it's just moved to HBO Max, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is odd, because Doctor Who is part funded due to the fact that it's part funded by BBC America, and BBC America is part owned by AMC, who make The Walking Dead.
So the HBO thing, to get this straight, is that they're just streaming Doctor Who from 2005? Is that all it is? That they've got the rights to do it?
And new episodes, yeah.
Oh, and new episodes, right.
After their initial broadcast.
So should we be interested in this? Is there a potential of HBO ever being interested in co-producing with BBC?
Well, AMC are already co-producing.
Co-producing.
So no, I wouldn't have thought
Making
so.
coffee.
Yeah.
Well, no more than Netflix or Amazon Prime, or for that matter,